Welcome to Conversations from Stritch. Today is Thursday, October 17th. I'm Dr. David Livingston, president of Lewis University, and I'm joined, as always, by Dr. Christopher Sant, our provost. It's been a great week at Lewis. Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, we hosted two visitors from LaSalle, Madrid, one of our sister universities in Spain. They are known for their health science programs. They have a significant pain clinic. I was really fortunate to visit there last year, and that started this relationship. And Brother Maxi, who is the president there, and Dr. Sergio Lerma Lara, dean of their health sciences, visited Lewis. And I'm really grateful to Chris and our faculty in occupational therapy, physical therapy, and nursing, as well as several others who met with Brother Maxi and Sergio. We're working on exchanges, new ideas for possible program collaboration, 3+1 programs, things like that, that might help both our students who might want to study in Spain and students from Madrid who might want to come here to study. Monday was Indigenous Peoples Day, a time to honor and recognize the inherent rights of Indigenous peoples to self-determination, governance, and cultural expression. Lewis made available to be watched on campus the film Black Hills Justice, Lakota Nation versus the United States. On the St. Augustine campus, there was a panel discussion on culturally responsive services for Indigenous survivors of domestic violence. I do want to say I just finished There. I don't know if you've read that, Chris, you probably have. But
I know what it is.
Anyway, it's a book about Indigenous people, and I literally just finished it. So all this kind of combined on that. But anyway, I really am grateful for everybody who set up those events on campus for Indigenous Peoples Day. And it's been on my mind a lot because of this book that I've been reading. On Monday, we also welcomed our new Chief Operation Officer, Michael Pasquale. Mr. Pasquale has recently served as the Vice President for Administration Services and Chief Business Officer at the East Los Angeles College, which is part of the Los Angeles Community College District. Pasquale will be responsible for overseeing operational functions of the university, including facilities, human resources, information technology, and will work with our legal issues as well. This week's Community Hour featured a university language fair, a pumpkin palooza, the Power of Pink Bake sale that was there to support Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and a fly casting demonstration. I wish I was available. I just miss these things, and I would love to learn to be able to fly fish. We've just concluded yesterday our series of board committee trustees committee meetings that will lead into Friday and Saturday, where we have our retreat and then our full fall board meeting. At the board meeting, they will approve this current year's final budget for the fiscal year, as well as the increases to tuition and fees for next year. We'll make an announcement about other details in terms of things that were approved at the board meeting next week. We're just a few days away from Signum Fidei, our annual fundraising party, where we'll raise money for the Mission Fund. Just a reminder to everybody, the Mission Fund supports our most vulnerable students. These are usually students who have a crisis, financial crisis that happens in their family that makes it really difficult for them to continue their education. This year, we're going to be honoring Brian and Mary Durkin for their contributions to Lewis. They have a scholarship fund here. They've supported some CapEx projects here. We'll talk more about them there. And we'll also be honoring Dr. Juan Ojeda, who served at St. Augustine for almost 2 decades and was just such a key contributor to students and their success at St. Augustine, who passed away in the last year. So we, in addition to all that, which was a very busy week, we had a lot of other stuff going on in terms of what's going on campus. So Chris, bring us up to date on.
Yes, and first, wow, it has been a really, really busy week listening to all of that, and it was super fun hosting those guests from Madrid. I loved that, and I think we all had a really good time, and they feel like friends now. I look forward to collaborating with them going forward. I did, as I told you yesterday, coincidentally walk across campus during community time and saw the fly fishing. It was a truly beautiful thing to see a bunch of students practicing fly fishing on the green. And
Awesome.
with Professor McFerrin, I noticed, which I didn't, we talk about him frequently and his incredible accomplishments as a composer on this show, but I did not know he was an expert in that, so that's really cool.
It is.
Can't wait to ask him about it. But anyway, yeah, Indigenous Peoples Day and everything. What a week so far. So our new turf field is now officially open and was blessed by Father Paul Novak. This new installation will provide soccer, lacrosse, track and field, and other intramural sports with a place to practice and compete. We were there at this blessing, unbelievably beautiful field, and it was just really great to be out there with the student athletes and going through the blessing ceremony, as well as just standing on that really gorgeous field. I'm really happy. It's a long time coming, and a lot of planning went into that, and so we have great gratitude to our facilities leadership as well as our athletics leadership to make it all happen. Not far from the field, the new practice field, the Lewis University Police Department has relocated into West Hall. This consolidation will increase efficiency and communication as well as safety and security around the campus. The vestibule at the entrance of campus will remain staffed until the end of the month, and after that, information about getting around campus will be available in the LRC and the Welcome Center. Quick note, if you're a commuter student, be on the lookout for ongoing construction at Independence Boulevard and Renwick Road. The project, which is dedicated to adding a new left turn lane and improving storm damage, is expected to go on until late 2025. So we encourage you to plan ahead and adjust your commute as necessary, knowing that that's going to be going on for a while. The College of Business hosted an Accounting Day network event with representatives from 15 different firms and companies coming to talk about career paths, provide insight, and help Lewis students expand their network. That was great. By the way, probably more information and images at a future event, but yesterday was also the Meet the Firms Day in the College of Business, which is focused on business administration and marketing. And I heard that was the biggest Meet the Firms we've had in a long time, if not all time. Really lively event with many students down there meeting potential employers. Congratulations to Professor Humazia, Associate Professor and Program Director of Paralegal Studies, and Dr. Morris Jenkins, Associate Professor of Justice Law and Public Safety Studies, who recently published an article in the journal Criminal Justice Policy Review, a multidisciplinary peer-reviewed journal dedicated to the study of criminal justice. The article is called The Association of Procedural and Distributive Justice with Emotional Exhaustion Burnout Among Prison Officers in Nigeria, and discusses the dimensions of organizational justice and how they relate to the emotional exhaustion of Nigerian prison officers. Fascinating.
It is.
Psychology professor and graduate counseling director, Dr. Catherine Helm, shared her knowledge in her presentation called Microaggressions in Healthcare at Silver Cross Hospital recently. She also served as the expert interviewer for the American Psychological Association's psychotherapy training video series, where she interviewed Dr. Jeff Goodman. And Dr. Hannah Klein, Assistant Professor of Justice Law and Public Safety Studies, was a podcast guest for the Rockefeller Institute of Government's Regional Gun Violence Research Consortium, where she serves as an affiliate scholar. So I'm always just so amazed at the work that our faculty are doing. Gun violence, and another really, we've talked so much about our support for the study of incarceration and for support for incarcerated individuals through our prison education program. And this is another, in addition to many other bits of research we've talked about through the Legacies of American Slavery project. And this is a completely separate research effort by two other faculty members related to the impact of incarceration in Africa on people who work in prisons. Just really interesting, amazing work in addition to the other expertise I just talked about. In support event, this is one event I want to just dwell on a little bit, in support of Domestic Violence Awareness Month, a presentation about called Empowering Women of Color Facing Intimate Partner Violence, will be held on October 28th at 6:30. It will dive into the unique experiences that women of color have with intimate partner violence. And then finally, as we've said the last month or so, register to vote by October 20th, it's 3 days from now, to be eligible to vote in the November 5th election. And we encourage all of our community members, especially our students, to take advantage of that amazing right to vote. And so and you can see there how to follow through on that registration if you haven't done it yet. Next, the rest of this week and especially next week are even busier. I know that some of the events you're going to describe now are related to the peace teach-in event that we have annually,
Yes.
and there's so much else going on. So,
well, and as you know, Chris, I also, before I get into those events, just a couple things. You and I were also involved. We have a paralegal program. Huma, who you talked about doing, she not only does scholarship, but she runs our legal studies paralegal program. And we had an accreditation visit team that visited us. So I want to thank her for not only doing the scholarship, but doing that. And the other thing, just again, inviting people, like you said, about the domestic violence awareness. I spent about 10 years of my life working in that area of domestic violence. Did a lot of my research in that area, and I used to work with the men on the other side. So the men who were convicted of, assaulting their intimate partners, both in and out of prisons, and really challenging work, but hopefully rewarding work, trying to make a difference. But we all need to be aware of just the such negative impacts on not only everybody in the family system, but especially the women and their children who are deeply impacted by that. So we do have a really busy week coming up. So today there's a lot of stuff going on. At 3 o'clock in AS 158, so over in the Arts and Science Building, the Dr. Leonard Weisenthal Colloquium is happening. Also tonight at the Aviation Center at 6 p.m., the Alpha Eta Rho Education Night is happening, and in the Wadsworth Family Gallery, and I'm so disappointed I'm going to miss this. I have some things related to our board retreat that I have to get to, but the reception and gallery talk is in there tonight, as you see on there. So don't miss any of that. Today's a very busy day. Yesterday with community hours also busy. Tomorrow, the CISE Puede High School Conference will be taking place starting at 9 in the flight deck. And then on Sunday, we have Mass. And then as you look into the following week, Monday, El Machismo and La Toxia, and other cultural relationship norms in the Latinx community. That's taking place in AS 156 at 4. Also in Convocation Hall, the Fall Chorale Concert is happening at 7:30 at night. So that's always a great event if you want to satisfy some of your needs in terms of going to events. The Fall Choral Concert is really worth going to. We also have a training for Safe Zone Allies next week on Tuesday, and the Syrian piano music also happening in Convocation Hall in the evening. And then, of course, community hour on Wednesday next week. We have Halloween cookie decorating. I hope, I'm out of town hall next week. So I'm going to miss that one too. I don't get my cookie next week. Women in business speaking engagement and a pop-up music concert all happening. The Peace Teach-In, as Dr. Sint was mentioning, has multiple activities next week. So on the 22nd, there's going to be an event at 11 that you see on there, at 2 and at 3:30, that dedication of the Tolton Peace and Reconciliation Garden. And then the next day, discussing dynamics between individuals and collective action and social movements will be happening in the university dining room at 10 in the morning. Wednesday, there's several events that you see up there. I do think, just in relationship to being a voter, which we just got done talking about, I think this event that's at 2, Unraveling Web and Mis and Disinformation, navigating towards peace. I think there's just a lot of being educated in general about how to tell the difference between what is factually accurate and what is misinformation is really valuable. And then that GROW Institute will close up at 7 p.m. on the 23rd with the GROW Memorial event, Bridge Building as Risky Behavior. So just a lot of stuff going on there. Then we also have athletics traveling next week. So men's tennis will be out of town at Bethel University this weekend. We also have women's volleyball, which will be traveling to Hammond. Women's soccer are at University of Missouri. The women's, this is not an official game, but preseason game against DePaul. And then men's and women's soccer also will be playing against Lincoln in Jefferson City. So they have a long trip down to the kind of western edge of Missouri. And then men's and women's golf will be playing down at McHenry at their open tournament. So lots going on in terms of athletics, lots going on in terms of events, but now we get to talk about another new athletic opportunity for current and future students. So Chris, do you want to introduce our guest?
Yeah, I'm very pleased to do that. Before I introduce our guest, just a reminder that you can, during our conversation, you can email a question to askus@lewis.edu, which you see on the screen. And if you are watching this on YouTube and not live, please feel free to continue to use that askus@lewisu.edu, and we can send along your question to our guest and you can get a response. So I'm very pleased to introduce our new stunt coach, Kaitlyn Van Hekken, to the Lewis community. Coach Van Hekken joins Lewis after spending the last 2 years at Dominican University, where she coached dance, stunt, and cheer. She attended Alma College in Michigan, where she was a first-time CSCA All-American and was named team captain during her senior season. Van Hekken was also a part of the National Cheerleading Association National Championship team in 2018 and 2021, as well as the Stunt National Champion in 2021. So impressive. Kaitlyn, very nice to see you and meet you. So wonderful that you're here with us today. We've really been looking forward to talking with you and learning more about stunt.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us and joining Lewis. And it's a new program for Lewis, and you're just getting started. So I know one of the first questions that we want to just kind of get to, maybe can you tell us? I mean, I'm interested in kind of, in some sense, the history of stunt.
Yeah.
So maybe you could talk a little bit more about your background. Chris mentioned a little bit about your incredible accomplishments, but maybe when did you start doing this, and was it during your lifetime that it switched to stunt? Because I think that might have been the time frame. Like, I don't know if you started when you were 6, but a lot of athletes like you start young. And then did it switch from cheerleading to stunt, or could you talk? I know it's gymnastics, cheerleading.
Yeah, it's all encompassing sort of sport, which is really exciting. But yeah, I started really young as a gymnast. My mom was a gymnast and coached gymnastics growing up, so naturally just kind of filled that role when she was done with it and continued on. After that, she started coaching cheerleading as well. So as a elementary school student, I wanted to do anything that my mom did. So I went to all her practices and just really started falling in love with the sport. And so I would say in middle school, I started actually taking a bigger interest in what, the cheerleading world and what that meant for me. And so, when I got to high school, I started doing competitive cheerleading, attended, as many tumbling classes as I could, started visiting colleges. And when I found out about stunt I think it was my sophomore or junior year of high school, there was a stunt tournament in Grand Rapids. I'm from Michigan originally. Sure. Yeah, so my mom kind of maybe saw it on social media and said, we should just go check this out. Why not? And
so she was curious about it too at that time.
She was curious, and we didn't really know much about it other than we just kind of saw it on social media and thought it was exciting and just might as well just go. It's Sunday afternoon, go watch some cheers. So we went to Grand Rapids and saw the tournament, and I remember I looked over to her and I said, this is what I want to do.
what I wanna
Yeah,
do.
this
Wow.
is what I want to do. And it's, I have always been very competitive. So, you know, any athlete really will say that, but I've been competitive my whole life, and I just really liked the competitive aspect of stunt. And so, yeah, that's kind of how I got introduced to stunt originally. And then just looked at kind of colleges that, you know, would give me the opportunity to continue competing it. Yeah, and just, really fell in love with it right away.
So can you describe a little bit what aspects of gymnastics and what aspects of cheer? It sounds to me like it takes a little from both.
Yeah, it does.
And combines them. And so I think many of us are familiar with cheer, and we're maybe not everybody's familiar with competitive cheer.
Useful to define both.
Yeah,
and then
especially
gymnastics, and then what it takes from each of them.
Definitely. So I always tell people, you know, it takes elements of what we know from cheering and gymnastics, which is exciting because you can join the team if you have that sort of background, you know, or you might be interested if you have any sort of that background. So specifically starting on the cheerleading side, it's a lot of the same movements that, you know, you're used to. In cheerleading, specifically at the collegiate level, you hear about a 2-minute and 30-second routine, typically put to music, choreographed. And when you go to nationals or you go to compete, everybody has different routines. Similar to gymnastics, everybody gets different choreography, everybody, you know, kind of has different routines, but they're all doing the same movements. So what stunt did is kind of take a lot of those elements that you're doing in both gymnastics, whether it's the tumbling aspect of gymnastics, in cheerleading, both tumbling and the stunting and pyramids and throwing and flipping and jumping and all of that, and kind of put it into a new format. So the format of stunt is 45-second routines. So it's shorter. Yeah, it's shorter, but the really cool thing is that every team that competes in stunt learns the same routines.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it kind of takes it.
So there's a set choreography?
Yes, so there's set choreography, and then the choreography changes year to year. So they'll give us...
That is set by the national...
Yes, by the national,
group.
by the national organization, USA Cheer. So every year, I believe it's on September 1st, they'll drop all of the routines. So every team competing will learn the same set of routines, and then you all compete the same routine. So it really takes... It's really unique because... You know exactly what you're going to get going into it, but it really is technical, and that's a lot of that gymnastics background as well. Just technique wise and the training and the precision with it takes a lot of those elements from gymnastics and cheerleading.
It seems to me like the thing that now that you've explained that was a really great explanation, Kaitlyn, really great, because I didn't really understand it, is the Olympics just happened, but it reminds me of Winter Olympics and the technical part of skating.
Yes.
Like, they have their technical program and then their creative program, but their technical program, they have to show off these elements, so to speak, right? They always hear that when the announcer's saying that.
And I just realized for the first time that there are judges.
There are judges,
right?
yes,
okay.
yes. So
similar to...
similar to that.
To cheer. I mean, all of it's similar in that way.
So essentially, instead of being scored on, an 100-point scale, or for gymnastics, a 10-point scale, you go head to head against another team doing the same routine at the same time.
At the same time?
At the same time.
With the same judges looking at both?
With the same judges looking at both. So
I understand your
are you kidding
how that brought out your competitive.
Yeah.
Like that sounds much more competitive in a different way, at least.
Yeah, because you can see the other team and what they're doing. Even if you're...
I can't wait to go.
It's really exciting.
So how does the judge keep their eyes on both? Like, so you're saying like on two different mats. I'm trying to imagine it in my head. There's two mats and they're both happening at the same time. And I'm like, is it peripheral vision? I'm trying to focus on both of them?
Yeah, so usually there will be 3 to 5 judges judging it at one time. So from my understanding is that, one judge is specifically looking at one team, one is looking at both, and then the one in the middle is kind of reviewing both. Yeah.
Okay. And just for the record, you don't have to be a judge.
I would never qualify as a judge. I want to be a judge.
I can see you're worried that you're going to be asked to go.
Already nervous.
I am nervous. I'm nervous for the judges. I'm nervous for the competitors.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
that is so interesting.
Yep.
So, and then is it like a turn, like 16 teams, and then you beat them, and then it becomes 8, and then you beat them, and it becomes 4, and is that how it works?
So at the national level, it is. So, for stunt, you do have to qualify to go to nationals, just like any other, sport on campus does.
Your team has a record.
Yeah, so your team will have a record
yeah.
throughout the season. Any tournament that you go to in season, not for the national tournament, any tournament you go to, you can play anywhere. If it's a weekend tournament, you could play 4 games over the course of the weekend. But you're just really playing for individual games that will go towards your record to qualify for the national tournament. And at the national tournament would be more of that bracket.
So tell me how long a game is. So you said there are multiple routines. So it's not, I don't, like if I go and attend, I don't just get to watch 45 seconds.
No, it'll be longer than that. Yeah.
Yeah, so tell me like what is it? Give me a sense if somebody attended, let's say we hosted a weekend of stunts here at Lewis, and I as a student or a faculty member wanted to go, what should I expect in terms of the, like I show up at 1, let's say the game is at 1, and I show up at 12:45, what do I see?
So if a game starts at 1, typically a game will last anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. Okay. So what's entailed in a single game is 4 quarters. Those quarters are broken out again into quarter 1 is partner stunts. So usually what you see again in cheerleading, when we're lifting people up. Quarter 2 is pyramids and tosses. So tosses are the basket tosses when you're throwing and flipping in the air, and then pyramids holding people up. Quarter 3 is jumps and tumbling, so that's a lot of where the gymnastics element comes into it. And then quarter 4 is all 3 of them put into one routine. So in every quarter, you play 4 routines.
So 4 45-second things.
Yes, you learn, there's 8 total.
Okay, 8 total.
But you only compete 4 in a game.
So are there 8, at the beginning of the season when that drops, I get 8, let's say pyramids.
Yes, 8 pyramids,
I get
8
partners.
Yep.
I get 8
jumps and tumbling.
Yep. And at any given tournament, now do you get to pick the 4?
So the coaches
as
get
the
to
home
pick. Yeah,
coach?
well, it goes back and forth. The possession goes back and forth. So
possession goes back and forth. I love this.
It's
learning
similar,
so much.
and it's similar to football or there's a coin toss at the beginning. So the captains and coaches will go out. Yeah, the home team will can
and you pick
call,
the ones you think you're best at.
Yeah, and so if you get possession, you can start right away with partner stunts. And so if we were really strong in say partner stunt 4, I'll call partner stunt 4. If we get the point, I can call another one. If the other team gets the point, they can call whatever they want. So every game is different in that way, which also makes it really exciting.
So you kind of, is it like, it's like that you get to keep possession. If you win the first one,
you get the point.
You can call 5 after you call 4. Because you think you're still stronger?
Yeah.
If you win that one, you get to call the next one, and then, so you could all call all 4.
You can call whatever you want, and there's a lot of strategy involved.
Winning the first one.
Winning the coin cost matters.
Coin toss is huge,
Coin toss.
Oh, right.
Anyway.
So one more question about that. How many people are on the roster, and how do they rotate through all this?
Yeah, good question. So, any given routine can have, the pyramid routines will have the most girls on the mat. So that will be 16 girls that could go onto the mat. The partner stunt routines range from 12 to 4 girls on the mat. And then the jumps and tumbling have 7 girls on the mat. So anywhere from like 4 to 16 girls will be on the mat at one time. An ideal roster would be around 20 to 25. And then part of the fun is if you're not in a routine and you're on the side, you're cheering for your team, and you can see what the other team is doing as well, which makes it really exciting and competitive. Yeah.
So if you're one player on the team, you may, just like a lot of teams, you may be cheering people on a lot, or you may be in 3 of the 4 quarters or whatever.
Exactly, yeah. And so, the girls, just based on, skill coming in and what we work on as a coach, I'll look at, who's best fit for each routine that will set us up for success. And some girls might be in almost all the routines, some girls might only be in a few routines. Whatever is going to set the team up for the most success and highlight the girls' strengths and the team's strengths is kind of how that works. And even if you're in a lot of routines, they might not be played that day, just depending on the way that the game goes.
Tired?
Very,
Like,
yeah.
I mean, is that a factor in,
Yeah.
you know, like as a coach, you're trying to make sure that they're
Totally.
at their best strength?
Yeah, and you know, that's another thing with strategy. If you're watching another team and there's a girl that's in 4 routines, sometimes coaches will call and make those girls go over and
Love it.
over.
That is so great.
Yeah.
To wear them out.
I love
To
that
wear them out,
strategy.
or you know, so they have to call
Like,
a timeout,
yeah,
or
like
yeah.
so many other
That's so
sports.
cool.
Yeah.
So tell me, all right, so now I want to go to scoring a little bit on
Okay.
this. So I look at, you know, because I often do this because I travel a lot, so I don't get to go to all the competitions. So I look this up. When is this going to start? When is our competition going to start?
So this year we're playing, it's kind of our introductory
Yeah,
season
right.
is what I'm saying. So it's not going to be a full season this year, but I'm still giving the girls an opportunity to compete a few times to kind of get their feet wet in the
so
sport.
like if I were to go on to my iPad, because I'm wherever traveling, a score, because what I'm hearing you say is it's 16 points. So it could be 9-7 because there's 4, 4, 4, and 4. Is that right?
So it's
No.
it's 4, 4, 4, and then in the fourth quarter, since you're doing all 3 routines in one big routine,
worth
you
more
get
points.
3 points total.
So there's
Yeah.
So there's 24 points total.
Yes.
So you could win 24-0,
Yes, essentially. Yeah.
but not likely. So
Yes,
if I saw a
not-
score
yeah.
24-0, you just smeared them.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And is there any quote unquote like say in a 12-12? Is there an overtime?
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So tell me about the overtime.
Yeah, the overtime, you know, gets very competitive as well. So
And
they
that would happen because it's 12-12.
and
at
that
the
would
end.
happen, you know, at the end of the fourth quarter, it's tied. And, you know, that does happen a lot because something about stunt as well is you can win the point, you can lose the point, you can also tie a point.
Oh,
Yes. So, you know,
fascinating.
if they're really equal, nobody made any mistakes, it can tie out. So it is common. So they've changed their, you know, changing the overtime rules a little bit just as we are adopted into the NCAA now. But the current overtime rules are you go into fourth quarters right away. So you finish your fourth quarter routine, go back to your sidelines, you go right back to fourth quarters, but you start with fourth quarter 1.
Oh, so nobody gets to pick.
So nobody
You
gets
just
to
do 1,
pick.
2,
You just
3.
go and then you go up. So you tie out 1, then you go to 2. You tie out 2, you go to 3, and you keep going until
So
eventually.
that means probably as a
someone
coach, you
wins a
also
point.
want to
Yeah.
make sure you're good at 1, 2, and 3.
Exactly.
Because if you're
exactly.
not, overtime, you're going to lose.
then you'll lose. And
Yeah.
so and then the way that you know the routines go is one would be like the easiest level of difficulty, and 8 would be the hardest. So you're starting out easy, but I say easy, but it's still really technical.
And it's competitive.
And
so
it's competitive.
they both are in this doing the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, we need to change the subject.
All right, no,
from-
I'm not.
I
I
think we
think
got
I
the
get it now.
technical- yeah.
But it took me a while
It's
to
really
like. I'm a little
amazing.
slow.
I can't wait
slower
to-
That's
than
okay.
most,
No,
but
it's
it
good.
helped.
No,
I
it's
am
good
ready
and
to
it's
watch
new.
now.
Yeah.
This is great.
Awesome.
Okay, so now you mentioned it's an emerging NCAA sport. So could you talk a little bit about how it fits into that? What does that even mean?
Yeah.
Emerging NCAA sport.
Yeah, so for a long time, so Stunt was founded in 2011. So the first games were played in 2011. So they've been progressively growing as it goes. And I say, you know, we've been around for a little over 10 years, and it sounds like a long time. And then I think back to how long basketball has been
Right,
around, or
yes.
football, or any other sport, you know. So it really hasn't been around that long. And so started to grow, and a lot of colleges started adopting it as a club sport. Well, that doesn't really help in terms of NCAA accreditation. So a lot of schools have started adopting it now as a varsity sport. So in 2019, Stunt petitioned to be, you know, an emerging sport through the NCAA, or to get that consideration from the NCAA. So from 2019 to now, it's still taken, you know, almost 5 years to get to this point, but in the last 2 years, divisions 1, 2, and 3 are all an emerging sport now through the
Okay.
NCAA. So essentially what that means is it's not an official NCAA sport yet, but it's on its way. And now all the teams that are varsity sports are having to, you know, follow the NCAA guidelines. You know, they have to be a varsity sport and treated like a varsity sport at
So meaning
schools.
recruiting guidelines.
Recruiting guidelines.
All the rules that go with the
Yes,
NCAA.
yes.
Title
Season,
IX
Title
and-
IX,
yeah.
everything like that. Yeah. So any team now that's considered a varsity sport is under this, you know, NCAA umbrella, and as a university, that essentially means they have to be treated like one.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then what about the league? So we're a member of the GLVC.
Yes.
We just were talking about that. So my understanding is that we have enough teams in the GLVC now to compete.
Yes, essentially. So I believe it's being brought to an official vote in January, but as of right now, it's looking like it's going to be an official conference sport next year, which is extremely exciting. So you need 6 teams to be in a conference sport. So we just got our 6th one that got approved. So really excited about that, and it's just an amazing opportunity, you know, for these athletes to compete at a conference level and a conference championship, and huge for the sport.
By the way, he gets to vote on this.
So
when all the other presidents are totally confused, you're going to explain
you
it.
know exactly what to say. Yeah.
You're going to be like, let me tell you about the 4th quarter.
Let me tell you about overtime.
Overtime.
Let me tell you about overtime. So let me ask this: so 6 teams? Obviously, it's a young sport, so I'm assuming that in some sense, the coaching ranks are also like it's a small community.
Right.
It is.
So do you know any of the other 6 coaches or the other 5 coaches in the GLVC?
Yeah. So good question. I'm from Michigan originally, so the university.
So you probably know the GLIAC people a lot better.
And the GLIAC and the university I went to was in the MIAA, just a Division 3. So, but I am familiar. You know, I'm in a coaches chat with them. We're talking every week, and just kind of, you know, hopping on Zoom calls and chatting with each other about different things.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely getting myself familiar, and especially now that we're in these group chats together and kind of meeting each other at different recruiting events and everything like that. It's been really, really good.
All right. So do you know enough yet? And I know we're early on in our recruiting because we've just started this literally. When was your first day? I don't know.
July 15th.
July 15th.
Yep.
Okay. So we're really, really new to this. Do you have a sense of those 6 teams of where you feel like your squad kind of next fall is going to land? Like, do you feel like, well, we're so emerging, but these other 4 schools have been at this for 3 years, and so I think we're going to be in like 4, 5, 6? Or do you feel like we're going to be right in the middle? Or I already feel like, no, we're going to be like one of the top.
That's how I feel too. You know, something truly that I can say that's 100% honest is the talent in the Chicagoland area is amazing. The cheerleading and gymnastics talent is in the Chicago, you know, it's one of the best places to be for that. It truly is. So I'm really hopeful. I'm really excited. I've had a lot of recruits. You know, I've had a lot of interest. We've had a lot of visits, and it's a really exciting time, but a lot of talent. So I don't know exactly where we'll land next year, but I think we'll be in a good place. And a couple of the teams in our conference are new this year as well. So I think it'll be a really good start for a lot of us in the conference, and it'll be competitive. Yeah.
Awesome. So I want to ask a complicated 2-part question.
That's okay,
so I'll help you through it if you forget all my parts.
Okay.
So you grew up in a similar culture, you know, with cheer and so on. So in doing national competitions and understanding it. So I'm really curious from a coach's perspective, how you recruit. Like, how do you find people, and you know, like where are the great athletes that you can choose from, even in the Chicago area, and how do you find out about them? And then part 2 is, if I am doing stunt competitively in high school, how do I, you know, what's your advice to them about how to present themselves to get recruited or to end up going to a place like Lewis? Yeah,
good question. So number 1, I think, you know, what we kind of look for, where a lot of that talent lies is, or how I kind of find that talent, a lot of it right now is social media, to be honest with you. It's a huge tool in the cheerleading and stunt community. A lot of athletes are kind of creating recruiting profiles on social media to make themselves accessible to coaches. So that's a really great tool that I've used a lot. Another one is, you know, just coach outreach. So making myself known to coaches in the Chicago area. I'm grateful I do have a good amount of connections, but there's never enough connections that you can make. So myself just reaching out to coaches, trying to get into practices, make my face known, showing up to those competitions or camps, or just kind of reaching out that way and making myself.
And my understanding, tell me if I'm wrong, is this is outside of school. Like these teams and coaches and competitions are community oriented or regional. They're not based in high schools.
Yeah, so right now stunt is not a high school sport in Illinois.
Okay.
So it is in California. There's a few states that are stunt is really big in high school. California is one, Oklahoma, Texas. Right now Illinois only does competitive cheer, but competitive cheer is still a lot of athletes, cheerleaders specifically don't know what they want to do after college or after high school, so this is a great opportunity for them as well.
Potentially qualified.
100%. 100%. And a lot of them, high school cheer is very competitive in Illinois, and so some of them do get burnt out in what they're doing and want to continue, but don't maybe want to do the same exact thing of what they've been doing. So this is another good opportunity to still use their talents and skills, but just in a new way.
So if you were to, that raise a question for me. So if you were to imagine your squad next fall, and maybe this is 20 or 25 women, would you say, maybe 5 of those 20 might come out of a gymnastics club? 10 are cheer and 10 are from a stunt team, or will 20 of them come from a stunt team, a club stunt team, and 2 from cheer and 2 from gymnastics, or I don't know,
question. Good question. So right now, I think it's primarily coming out of competitive cheer, and that's another, to go off of your second question of how to highlight yourself as a high schooler. It is a lot of competitive cheer. Okay. So my goal, obviously, would always be to bring in recruits from California and Oklahoma and Texas, girls that are familiar with stunts. So I am talking to a few of those girls right now, so hoping to get them on campus soon. But in the Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, kind of Midwest area, a lot of them are doing high school competitive cheer right now. There are some clubs in St. Louis that compete stunts, so looking at that as well. But one of the best ways, to just continue marketing yourself if you are interested in it is just, again, social media is great. But otherwise going on our social media, going on our website, going on that, and kind of looking at if that's something you'd be interested in that way.
So there's not a good, I'm reading between the lines, but there's not a good stunt club in the Chicago suburbs.
No, not right now.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, but
at the high school level.
At the high school level, yeah.
And do you think that's coming? Do you think there's some entrepreneur out there that's going to start a club?
Yeah, I would hope so. They're starting in Michigan soon, hopefully, I know, and like I said, St. Louis. So I think it's a great opportunity, but right now I haven't heard of anything. So it's newer in this area. Competitive cheer is just a huge thing in Illinois. Yeah, it's dominant right now. Yeah. So, but it's a great opportunity for those athletes, and like I said, just to continue working and to market yourself correctly and reach out if you're interested, and that's just the best way to get a hold.
So because we're going to wrap up,
and I have a couple more topics.
Oh, you have a couple more topics. You go.
Or one more
I have
topic.
I have a kind of ending question.
Yeah, that sounds good. So you're been here for 3 months or 4 months or something. So could you talk a little bit about what it's been like to come to Lewis and both get to know the kind of dance and cheer community as well as the other coaches? We're always really interested in coaching as an art form and as a something we compare to being a great professor, and it's a craft that I know many of our head coaches at Lewis are deeply experienced and have been doing it for a long time. So if you have any thoughts about that, I'm curious about both the dance cheer community and the coaching community.
Yeah, for sure. What I can say as a whole, being here at Lewis, is that everybody has been just overwhelmingly supportive. Honestly, it's been a really great experience being here, even for 3 months. There has not been, almost one coach that hasn't stopped by my office to introduce themselves directly, or just to say hi or shake my hand, or just, say, hey, if you need anything, just come reach out, you know,
Right.
come talk to me. I want to help you, you know. Even coaches that have nothing to do with cheer, like our lacrosse coach, because he started a program from the ground up,
Yeah.
is like, come on a visit with me, come sit in. You know, it's
That's
amazing.
nice. That's
Yeah,
really
and
great.
it's been super helpful. So even, you know, with the cheer and dance and just the rest of the coaches have just, you know, welcomed me with open arms and have been extremely supportive. And you know, and I say that so honestly, and it's just been a really great experience being here so far. Yeah.
Great.
That's great.
All right.
All right, so
I'm
my
good.
last question is, if like, and I'm trying to like, if you were to have like the 30-second or 45-second pitch for why somebody should come and do stunt here at Lewis versus the other people in the conference, or you were at Dominican, right? So you know the Chicago area schools. Like, what's the kind of like, here's what I want to say to that student athlete in high school that's you know, that's a
Yeah.
senior.
Yeah, good question. You know, something that I tell all my recruits and that I would say now too is something about me is I'm really passionate about female athletes getting similar experiences, specifically in cheerleading, as any other athlete would on campus. And so what I can say honestly is that if you come and you are on my team, I will do all that I can to make you have the best experience that you can here at Lewis, not only athletically, but also academically, you know, throughout the university, connecting you with the professors, putting you in the places that you need to, and making sure that you have all the opportunities that will open doors for you when you're done with 4 years. So something that I always say as well is I want, you know, I'm excited about what happens in 4 years, but what's important to me is that you're a better person walking out of my program after 4 years than when you came in. And that's why, you know, I think that Lewis is the perfect place to do that and for, you know, to be on my team. So,
Right.
yeah.
And you're competitive. So
And
you're
I'm
gonna win.
competitive, so we're gonna
So we're
do
gonna
good
win.
things. Yeah, and we're gonna do great things.
No, it's great. And I love hearing about that. I mean, because we really do look to try to, you know, student athletes as whole people, you know, I say that when I talk to athletes, and we really do see it. They do tend to kind of move up the pile in terms of resumes, if you're, especially if you're team captain at an NCAA sport, because of the leadership skills that you've
Tremendous
learned
experience.
just
Yeah.
add so much
Yeah.
to your skill set,
Yeah.
like any good internship in any other field does. But it really does
Yeah.
help because you have that. You've lost a lot of times. So it's another, you know, it's another great thing. Not because you like to lose, but you learn how to stand up and do the next thing, right?
100%,
Even when you
keep
get knocked
going.
down, you
Yeah.
keep going. So it's been just wonderful having you.
Thank you.
So thanks so
Appreciate
much
it.
for your
Thank
time
you guys for
and
having me.
joining us.
Yeah, we're
today.
excited. I'm excited to go to my first stunt competition now that I understand the rules.
Yeah.
So, well, I do want to say thank you to everyone who is watching now, or if you'll watch next week on YouTube. We really appreciate you. We look forward to, we're halfway through the semester, and therefore a quarter of the way through the year, which is shocking to me because the first 8 weeks has gone by like that. But we just wish for you nothing but the best. So many blessings to you and all those that you love.